Friday evening, at least in the United States, April 25th, 2025. The headline breaks that Virginia Giuffre, a Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew accuser. It's funny how they choose that word accuser, not victim. They use accuser, leaving the door open that, oh, maybe it was just an accusation. Dies by suicide. And of course, in the days of social media where there's all this censorship of language, it's almost like a Orwellian 1984 world. They don't want you to say that word for whatever reason. And I don't think it's protecting anybody by not being able to say it. But again, you're automatically demoted in the algorithm if you say that word. And it's a word that needs to be talked about because the rates of it are higher than ever. That said, I don't think that's what happened to this woman, just like I don't think that's what happened to Jeffrey Epstein himself when that story broke August 10th, 2019 during Tisha B'Av, a day to remember Jewish tragedy. But yeah, let's look at what appears to be the ritual here. And it looks like this is murder. That's what it looks like. It looks like murder. And again, if you're new here, look up the Kabbalistic practice of coding letters into numbers. You learn this elementary code. You will see through the news headlines every day. You will see through the ritualism. You will see through the repetitiveness of the rituals. And you'll see through the nonstop lies and deception that the mainstream puts out. So, the woman was 41. She's the same age as me. We're both born in 83, relatively young age. And we're going to get to the significance of her dying at 41. But I want to start right here. We're going to connect this to the day Epstein died, and we're also going to connect this to Prince Andrew, who's still alive. Notice Prince Andrew is 65 years old, and today is 65 days after his birthday. They're saying she died Friday, April 25th. I know in Australia, they're a day ahead of us. It's already Saturday over there. In their news, they're saying she took her life last evening, which was Friday evening. But 65 days after his 65th birthday. And this is a special number in the United Kingdom. Again, in the practice of coding numbers into words, Gematria, United Kingdom equates to 65, as does Knights Templar. And Andrew has an affiliation with the Templars. The royal family's Masonic. Modern Templars are related to Masonry. As it says right here, Prince Andrew's connection to the Knights Templar is through his appointment to the Order of the Garter and his association with the Knights of St. Andrew. The Order of the Garter is the oldest and most senior order of chivalry in Britain, while the Knights of St. Andrew have a historical link to the Templars. So anyhow, 65 days after his 65th birthday. If you've seen the show Nightfall about the Templars, it's in one of the first episodes of that show where they talk about how the Templars have 64, or excuse me, I said 64. They have 65 bases in Europe. Again, if you watch the show, you won't miss that dialogue being aware of this code. Now, as for the woman being 41, Templar equates to 41. 41, Templar. And making matters even more interesting, she was born in 83. That's the year the British band The Police put out the song Murder by Numbers, where killing is the sport of the elite, and it's as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3. With regards to killing, notice how Masonic and killing overlap. Again, the royal family is Masonic. In this practice of coding numbers into words, there's 4 base ciphers of the English language. The alphabetic order, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26. The reverse alphabetic order, Z is 1, back to A is 26, and both orders with numerology applied. You can see how Masonic and killing have perfect overlap in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. Keep in mind, today's date numerology, there's different paths. They all break down to the same root digit, but in 2 of the paths, the date numerology today is 74 and 38, like how killing is 74 and 38, and it is the 115th day of the year that she's passed on, April 25th. Again, those paths, the way they work, April 25th, 2025. 4 plus 25 plus 20 plus 25 is 74, which would break down to 11, which would break down to 2. The life lesson number, you add the day plus the month and the year, digit by digit. So 4 plus 25 plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5. And realize with the day and the month alone, it is 29 like Masonic. But yeah, it's a fitting day for killing. And of course, the big headline to start the day was the Russian general who blew up. And I covered that in an earlier video, which hardly got any views, which has been the, the case for this channel for the last 3 years, sadly. Now, the town that she died in, I believe it's pronounced near Gabby. And notice it has the 43 in it, like Masonic and killing. We're going to cover every number and how every single one of these matters. It also equates to 79 in the most simple cipher, like murder. In the reverse cipher with reduction, it has the exact same value as SUICIDE, which they're saying is the cause of death. And the 164 goes with the amount of days after the Superior General's birthday. Again, the Jesuits are the modern-day Templars. That's why the Templar cross in the middle of their logo. The Superior General's their leader. Today is 164 days after his birthday. And, of course, at the start of the week, you had the Pope, the first Jesuit Pope, die on the Queen's birthday. And, of course, when the Queen died, she died on the Virgin Mary's birthday. Again, modern Freemasonry has a lot of links to Jesuitism. Many of the rites of Freemasonry were written by Jesuit priests. Again, the Jesuits are the modern-day Templars. To open a Masonic lodge, a Templar has to be present. Again, these secret societies are very much related. And again, near Gabby equates to 79 like murder. Society of Jesus also equates to 79. And when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, so does Knights Templar. Again, we talked about how Knights Templar equals 65. When you run it in reverse, it's 79, like the town she's died in. So here's Arturo Sosa, the leader of the Jesuits. Again, it's 164 days after his birthday. This is the Jesuit Order's logo with the Templar cross in the middle. And again, you can see in the same cipher, Knights Templar, Society of Jesus, both 79, just like the town. And the lesser date numerology today is where you just take the, like commonly on a movie poster, you'd see the day of the month and the second part of the year. So 4/25/25, a lot of movie posters, movies that came out today would just say 4/25/25 on there. That's how you get the lesser date numerology, just adding those three numbers, 4 plus 25 plus 25, which is 54, like Jesuit order, like sun. Their logo's the sun. Their headquarters is the Church of the Jesuit, Building 54. When Epstein supposedly offed himself the weekend of Tisha B'Av, it was the day after her 36th birthday. And IHS, the later letters in the Jesuit logo, which stands for Jesus Hominum Salvator, which equals 274, like the Catholic Church has celebrated the sun's birthday on Christmas Day or Sol Invictus since 274 AD. And again, when you run it in reverse, it equals 266, like the first Jesuit Pope was Pope Francis, the 266th. But yeah, Epstein did die. Well, so we're told, one day after her 36th birthday. So I find that interesting. And notice from her date of death to what would have been her upcoming 42nd birthday was 106 days. Jeffrey Edward Epstein, 106. That's Jeffrey Epstein's full name. And we can actually go back and look at how ritualistic Epstein's death was. We'll do that here after we're done with this. And from Epstein's death to her passing is 68 months and days. We'll notice that Prince Andrew equals 68, as does sexual abuse, also 68. The RAPE word is also 68. And that was the accusation that she was, abused as an underage girl by these two people. Virginia Giuffre, a woman who accused Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew of abuse when she was underage, has died by SUICIDE, according to a report. Giuffre, 41, was one of Epstein and Andrew's most prominent accusers, filing a lawsuit against the English Royal in New York in 2021, claiming she was forced to have sex with him 3 times between 1999 and 2002 when she was underage. Giuffre died in near Gabby, Australia, where she had been living, NBC News reported. It is with utterly broken hearts that we announce that Virginia passed away last night at her farm in Western Australia, her family said in a statement to NBC News. Keep in mind, Australia, like a lot of the world's been colonized by the United Kingdom. It's almost like a flex. She lost her life to SUICIDE after being a lifelong victim of sexual abuse and sex trafficking. And it says Virginia was a fierce warrior in the fight against sexual abuse and sex trafficking. She was the light that lifted so many survivors. The statement said, in the end, the toll of abuse is so heavy that it became unbearable for Virginia to handle its weight. A native of Florida, Giuffre said she was recruited by Epstein's girlfriend, Miss Maxwell, to work for Epstein when she was just 16 years old. Remember, the Jesuits since the 16th century. The Florida thing's also interesting because Florida has the gematria value of 65. Again, Florida just won the March Madness tournament with Todd Golden, Jesuit educated, getting Florida their 54th win 274 days after his birthday. 54th win in the tournament, that is. Isu Samatum Salvator 274, Jesuit Order 54. He got his 133rd career win, like President, White House, and government equal 133. Did it on 4-7 in the time of number 47, who declared it the golden age, and Florida's coach is Todd Golden. The reason I'm bringing this up is because, again, the power of the knowledge. We had that to happen before the tournament began, as we've done so many times. But Florida, when they won with 65 points, and they made Houston, who lost by 2, plus 65 in point differential for the tournament. Again, in the most simple cipher, Florida's 65. And every year we're showing that this is how scripted the games are, and the point margins are always perfect. It's the same thing, really, year after year. But yeah, in light of her dying 65 days after Andrew's 65th birthday, it fit in with the Templar piece, but it does also fit in with her being picked as a teenager out of Florida. And perhaps not an accident, right after Florida wins the college championship on 4-7, because remember, the SUICIDE word equals 47, just like the town she died in. You know what I mean? And again, all these numbers are super relevant. Last night in the NHL, home teams were 12-4 coming into the game, and Florida was playing. And we thought that was a good sign that Florida would win that game with home teams being 12-4 coming in, and it was true. Also, Florida, they're the Panthers. Home teams were 10-1 when the Panthers were playing away. We thought that was pointing to the Panthers winning that game. Sure enough, they won. Home teams were 11-3 in a game that Dallas came into. 11-3, Dallas won the game. Tonight, we thought the Magic and the Bucks would win. To make home teams 15-6 in the NBA. Again, same thing goes on in the NHL as the NBA. The games are all rigged. The news is all rigged. It's this code every day. I don't know why this isn't the most viral thing on the internet. I know I say the same thing every day and I'm a broken record, but I'm serious. I don't know why this isn't the most viral thing on the internet. I mean, take advantage of the market, crypto, rig sports, see through the news in seconds. Every day. Every day. It just lines up perfect. It's ritualism. Again, people stuck on the same questions that I answered in books and videos from a decade ago. The reason they do this is because of Kabbalah. Masonry is based in Kabbalah. The Templars brought the Kabbalistic knowledge back to the church back in the time of the Crusades. Kabbalah says this is how God operates. These people are playing God over humanity, and these are the same people that sell the idea of God to humanity as well. They want people to believe in God, think God's going to take care of their problems. The only solution you can really do as a peasant is pray to God that your problems will be fixed and hope you hit the prayer lottery. Most people don't. Don't dare do anything. God said turn the other cheek. Wait for God to come fix everything. If you're a good Christian, which, Britain spread all across the world through its colonization, you know that the world is owned by the devil. It's a bad place. You're a sinner. You're a horrible thing. Just believe in Jesus and you can have the eternal afterlife and sit back and watch the world burn. And don't forget the leader of the Society of Jesus. He said, go forth and set the world on fire. And don't forget also that Jesus said he came to divide families and bring the sword. I was mistaken because I did come up in the church too, and I remember the good lessons about Jesus. But when you actually read the Bible and go back and look at the actual verses, you're like, you know what? The Jesuits actually are the perfect representation of a lot of Jesus' verses. They did come to divide families. They did come to bring the sword. They did come to turn people against each other. They did come to divide. Again, it's just it really is something else. And again, they use the power of authority to manipulate humanity. So yeah, again, just another perfect ritual. Another major lie in the headlines. Another awful story released on a Friday night when almost no one's paying attention because a lot of people, I think this would raise an eyebrow. Prince Andrew's number one accuser just offed herself, huh? Interesting. And just go back down memory lane. There's a lot of posts on Epstein from years ago, but let's look at his supposed death on August 10th, 2019. Notice how Epstein also overlaps with SUICIDE. For the record, in that same cipher, murder equates to 34. And Epstein appeared in court on July 8th. Remember, Jesuit equals 78. From July 8th to his offing was 34 days later. And notice how Epstein and murder overlap, 34, 38. If you've never seen the movie poster for Murder by Numbers, let me just show it to you right now. It's a lot like the song Murder by Numbers that came out in 83. The poster codes the number 38 and 83 right into the cover. Murder by Numbers, which came out 38 weeks after Sandra Bullock's birthday, the star of the film, whose name also equals 83. Again, this 38 special, killing, death, RIP, Gematria, English, Kabbalah, they're all 38. Again, Jeffrey was a JEW, Tisha B'Av's to remember Jewish tragedy. Just happens to die the weekend of Tisha B'Av. And if you remember, they showed, it's in an old post. If you look up the footage of the coroner pulling up to the jail building where his body was, you'll see that the coroner's car, the license plate just has 3 numbers on, or it's not the license plate, it just has a big number on the back of the car. Like sometimes city cars have they're numbered. You'll see that the coroner's car is number 134. Tisha B'Av is 134, and so is 9th of Av, which is the English translation of Tisha B'Av. It was coroner and car 134 for the weekend of Tisha B'Av to come examine Epstein's body, at least so we're told. And it is funny how they get everything so perfect for their rituals. It's like they're thumbing their nose at the world. Notice Jeffrey Epstein without the middle name is 163, the 38th prime. And from his death to his upcoming birthday that year was 163 days. He died 163 days before his birthday. His name also equates to 73, like ritual, sacrifice, and sacrifice. And look, check this out with where the lady died today. I almost missed this detail. Near Gabby, Australia. 73. 73. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. 73. Just like ritual sacrifice. That's interesting. Jeffrey Epstein, you run it the other way, 71, like sex trafficking, like temple, Tisha B'Av's to remember the destruction of the temples. Don't forget Catholic equals 71, like Sol Invictus, like the Society of Jesus. Big number with their rituals. Never forget what they did in Israel recently on Putin's 71st birthday, 71 days before the popes, when they started the latest needless war, sucking up the tax dollars to pay for another war that has nothing to do with this nation. And there's Epstein and the chump. Everybody knows that photo. It really is amazing that the president of the United States, again, which we told you was going to happen 4 years ago, why they'd bring him back as the fat redo of Grover Cleveland, and why he would make dumb economic moves in his first year and cause economic problems, just like Grover Cleveland did 132 years ago when United States of America and split term equal 132. Only the second split term president is Donald Trump. 132 rooms in the White House. England also equals 132, and so does Catholic Church and Roman Catholic. But anyway, again, the Trump, he's a sick guy. I mean, if you don't know the clip of him from years ago, way before he's president, he's on TV, and he has the gall to say these kind of things on TV. He goes, "You see that 10-year-old girl over there? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years." Who says that as a grown man? If anybody said that, you would be like, "Whoa, what a creep." Do you see that 10-year-old? So you're already having sexual ideas about a 10-year-old. And again, Trump's on the record making remarks like that about his daughter when she was younger too. About how he'd like to date his own daughter. Oh, so you look at your daughter through a sexual lens. 10-year-olds, you're already thinking about having sex with them. Your daughter, you're the proud pussy grabber. People voted for you? Oh, man. Again, that's part of the reason my work doesn't resonate with these people. These people are fallen. Our society is a bunch of demons. You're a horrible human being if you ever voted for this guy. Not only is he a fraudulent piece of shit that goes along with all these banker scams like the scandemic out of Switzerland, but yeah, he wants to have sex with little girls, and you voted for him. What kind of scum does that make you? You know what's funny? There's a young liberal kid who was playing that clip at a Trump rally, but he did it just right because he went up to the Trump people and he said, "Oh, do you guys remember when Joe Biden said he wanted to date a 10-year-old girl in 10 years?" And they're like, "Yeah, I think I do remember that. Yeah, creepy Joe." So he did this to a bunch of people, right? And he was acting like he was one of the Trump people. He's like, "Here, let's watch that clip of Biden." They're like, "Okay." And then he played the clip and it's Trump. And then they're like, "Oh." He's like, so now what? You still want to vote for Trump?" And then they're like, it was funny just watching him because they're like, "Well, I still like him better." I mean, that was, some people are like, "Well, that looks like it was a long time ago." So it's just like, it just shows you people are just dumb, man. They don't really stand for anything. They just go along with what their parents told them. "Oh, my parents voted for that party, so I do. I just cheer for them no matter what. If I get confronted or shown how hypocritical they are, who cares? Yeah, creepy Joe, but you know what? That was Donald. He was probably just joking around." Trump had all of his children, except for Barron, marry into Jewish families. Isn't it interesting? Now the Pope's dead, perfectly sync with the Trump at age 88. Been documenting the Trump 88 rituals forever. Again, Trump supposedly got 312 electoral college votes, beating the woman who had her convention in the 312. And then the Pope dies on the 312th day of Trump's age. And remember, it's all synced up with the Church of Satan. And Anton LaVey is also from Chicago, the 312. But yeah, when Epstein died, it was 58 days after Trump's birthday. That was back when he'd won the 58th election. And we put an asterisk next to that because people don't really win elections. They're selected. They're chosen and selected. The voting's just for the dummies who don't know better. But again, it was the 58th election, and Trump announced from the 58-story Trump Tower. And, you know, they're still doing the 58 stuff with Trump. Trump got 58% of the electoral college vote this time, getting 312 electoral college votes. And then that means Kamala got 42% when, go back to 2019, and she had a thing on CNN to question her blackness on the 42nd day of the year when they stamped that number all over black history. Don't forget, Hillary put out the book, What Happened, about why she lost to Trump in the 58th election. Again, all comes back to Freemasonry. What happened? Freemasonry, Rosicrucian secret society. Again, the Templars had their headquarters in Al-Aqsa Mosque, which they referred to as Solomon's Temple. It's part of the reason the Templars have to be on hand anytime a new Masonic lodge is open. Solomon's Temple is also 58, like Herod's Temple, like Third Temple. A reminder that they started selling a coin when Trump was president the first time in Israel, a commemorative coin to raise money to build the Third Temple eventually. It was August 11th, 2019, a date with 58 numerology synced with Trump, that the Israeli police fired tear gas on the Muslim worshippers on their day to remember the dead at Al-Aqsa Mosque, and I'm pretty sure that's foreshadowing of a more tragic event to come there that will meant to be totally divisive at some point in the future. And don't forget the TV show about blowing up Al-Aqsa Mosque by hardline Zionists to build the third temple there. It's called Dig. And like in the U.S. that supports Israel, the Israel that was, the land was safeguarded by the British before it was handed over to them. But anyway, the show in the U.S. was called Dig, about blowing up that temple as a Zionist plot uh, in the U.S. to dig, you have to dial 811. If you want to dig on land, you're supposed to dial 811, and they come out and make sure there's no power lines that are going to kill you in the ground or anything else. So the next time Tisha B'Av falls on August 11th will be in the year 2038. We'll see if we have the whole world understanding by then. And don't kid yourself. That could be when their plan is meant to go into motion. These people love to work in that 19-year cycle of the moon. They give you a little precursor, August 11th, 2019. Creating an ugly scene there. Oh, there it is. I got it in this. Look at this. Here it is right here. Right here. Perfect. Scene after Jeffrey Epstein killed himself in jail. Forensic operations. New York City medical examiner, car 134, there for Tisha B'Av weekend. I mean, isn't it? It's comical. It's comical. His July 6th arrest. This is on Skull and Bones Day. Skull and Bones is Order 322. It was George W. Bush's birthday. Same guy who got asked along with John Kerry about what's with 322 by Jesuit-educated Tim Russert, who didn't live that much longer when they were both running against each other in 2004. He said, now, what are the odds that you guys are both in the same small secret society that allows 15 members per year? Skull and Bones, Order 322. What can you tell me about that number? Well, I can tell you you're a dead man for asking that, Tim Russert. You don't got much more time. And look up when Tim Russert died. They even reported that the paramedics got to him at 2:23. But yeah, anyway, the day that they arrested Epstein with the FBI NYPD Crimes Against Children Task Force, something that seems like it was made up just for that very day. Notice it equals 178, and it was the day leaving 178 days left in the year. And Kabbalah also equates to 178. We just saw the Pope die 178 days after Conclave came out. Epstein has that triple overlap with minors. Oh, you know, I missed that because minors is also 74, and the young girl, well, she's 41 now. Not all that old, but not as young as she was when they were diddling her. And realize this is probably a little preview for the diddler, who at age 55 is going to take the stand in, a little more than a week on 5/5. I remember that it was the same Epstein task force that took down Diddy. And don't forget who told you Diddy was going down at age 54, a year before he turned 54. Yours truly. Again, that was because of Clarence Avant's death and the image they put out with him and Diddy. Clarence Avant died 54 years after establishing Sussex Records, which equals 54 like Jesuit order. It's almost like the newer Studio 54, but I said, just wait until Diddy turns 54. It's over. If you missed all the work on Diddy, you might want to go back and review that too. But his trial about to get underway on 5/5 at age 55. Yeah, there's a number of other things that are interesting here too. His date in court was a date with 54 numerology. The pedo words also got the 54 connection, like Jesuit order. Okay. Yeah, and where do these characters like Epstein come from anyway? I mean, he's the man of a million mysteries. No one really understands where his money came from. What I think is he's just some kind of CIA asset. And I honestly think that the character was invented and built up as like a distraction. Because the people who are really doing the sex trafficking across the world, this same network that I'm saying contrives the news that gave us the language and the calendar, they don't really get called out. No one's looking at them. But everybody knows the name Epstein. So. And by the way, just with regards to the Jesuits, the only publicly owned NFL team by a Jesuit family are the Steelers, the Rooney family, Jesuit family. Did you see what happened to their top draft pick's mother? Did you see that? Did you see it? This kind of stuff actually happens every year with the draft. Derek Harmon, the Pittsburgh Steelers' first-round draft pick, 21st overall. You guys know what Jesuit equals, right? 21. Shout out to Run Your Pockets. He knew some funny business was going to go on with this pick. He's like, Zach, did you see the Steelers got the Jesuit 21st pick? We always talk about how the Jesuits... Look how many members of the Steelers organization have recently died at age 84. The older Rooneys. It's another recurring pattern. But yeah, the Jesuit family had the 21st pick of the draft. And then they draft Derek Harmon, and then his mom dies. His mom just dies shortly after being selected. So she had been on life support at a hospital in the Detroit suburbs due to ongoing health issues, including a stroke and multiple brain surgeries, according to multiple news sources. Harmon was scheduled to visit her after the draft and tell her the good news, but she passed away shortly afterward. Again, that story's going to have like, oh, well, she was already on her deathbed. She must have been overwhelmed with joy and just perished in that moment. So happy for her son. What happened to this woman to deteriorate her health to get her in this situation where, looks like somebody probably came in and slipped in the final shot. But yeah, here, let's take a look at this. And don't forget Cam Ward, who went #1 overall. I showed you last year how they synced the massive windstorm in Washington State and the hurricane down there where he was playing with the Miami Hurricanes on the same day at the same time, perfectly synced with him. Again, weather warfare is a real thing, and they do sync it up with celebrity. And obviously, he's going to be a big name, #1 pick in the NFL draft. I should have known that when they're synced up storms from coast to coast with Cam Ward. Again, don't forget the first act of weather warfare was admitted to in the UK on the Jesuit order's birthday, August 15th, 1952. The Lynmouth flood, that was 5 years after the U.S. military began researching how to use hurricanes for military purposes in 1947. For any dope out there, be like, what? Are you saying rigged hurricanes? Yeah, I am, because it's almost 100 years since they began researching how to use them for military purposes. That same person will look up and say, oh, look, on the internet, it says that nothing ever came out of that research. Okay, yeah. Keep believing all the information put out for the public. It's kind of what the point of this channel is, to learn about what's actually going on, using the information that is available to us to see through the lies and deception and the way we're mocked. Like how the night that hurricane was on TV, they literally had Anderson Pooper Scooper live on set in Bradenton, Florida, where Tropicana orange juice was founded in 47, the same year hurricane research began by the military. And remember, earlier that day, they demolished the Tropicana Hotel. Anyway, here, let me just come back to the task at hand. The Oregon Duck. Now, a Ducks player going to Pittsburgh is interesting because Ducks is 58, like Pittsburgh is 58. And what happened in the all right, I'm getting too tangential. We'll just stay right here. Oh, look at where he went to high school. Oh, do you see where he went to high school, Derek Harmon? This isn't actually anything uncommon. He went to Loyola High School, Jesuit school. I want you to look at professional athletics and count what percentage of these players went to Jesuit or Catholic high schools or universities or both. It's going to blow your mind if you actually take the time. The coaches, the owners of the teams, the players, realize there's not that many Catholic Jesuit high schools compared to how many public schools there are. They're like a very tiny percentage when you compare it to the number of public schools. Yet, a huge percentage of pro sports are guys who went to high schools just like this. And this is just what I'm saying, too. How Jesuits 21, the Jesuits started off the 21st century by blowing up the World Trade Centers in the most Jesuit ritual there ever was on the day that a lot of historians contend is the real Jesus' birthday, September 11th. But yeah, okay. So we got the Jesuit-owned team who gets the 21st pick, and then they get a Jesuit-educated player, and then his mom just dies. And they got some bullshit story out right away about how she was about to kick the bucket any minute anyway. Oh my God! Look at what day he was born. Born on 8/3. It's Tom Brady's birthday, but of course, murder's 83, but so is football. So, and you know what else is 83? Mother. The guy with the 8/3 birthday drafted into the Pro Football League and loses his mother. Okay. And that date can also be written 3/8 rather than 8/3 like Oregon, where he played Oregon Duck. And Oregon's also 74, going with today having 74 and 38 date numerology, and it is 2025. And killing, again, is 74 and 38. And Oregon is also 88, like poison and arsenic poisoning. And talked about this with the 33-day Pope and what probably happened to Pope Francis. August 3rd. Let me think. August 15th leaves 138 days left in the year. So August 3rd must leave 150. And today's the 115th day of the year. So it's 265 days after his birthday, or his 266th day of his age. Like for the Jesuit motto, Isus hominum salvator. Here, let me make sure I'm not doing some late night math. August 3rd, 2024 to today. Yeah, 266th day of his age, exactly 38 weeks into his age. So the Oregon product, drafting the NFL exactly 38 weeks into his age, and then loses his mother. Again, murders 38, like killing, like RIP. Here. For my trolls out there, I know what you guys are saying right now. I know what you're saying. Let me make sure you guys can be part of the show.
See, Zach's covering up for the small hats again. He's blaming it on the Jesuits. Don't you know it's the small hats? They actually made the Jesuits. Yeah, it's the small hats.
Yeah, they got a lot of whole lot of high schools and hospitals, don't they? It's funny how the whole Jesuit scandemic, the country that got the worst of it was Israel, wasn't it? That's why they say you can't convince a believer anything. Their world is not based on evidence. It's based in the deep need to believe. All right. I think we got it all in there. Shout out to the super chatter. Somebody sent something over. Lamore Atoll says, you opened my eyes in 2020. Can't thank you enough. I appreciate your generosity. And then John Mendoza with the 214. I love it, John. I totally get the joke. Yeah, what kind of spell is mankind under? Where's Nas Esco? If he was on here, be a lot more people watching. So. All right, True Sticker. Yeah, just tragedies abound. If you missed the short video I did earlier on the actress who died, let me pull her up again. This ritualism, you guys. Again, she's from Dallas. She's dead at 63. Of course, JFK was killed in Dallas in 1963. And then what just puts it over the top is if you measure, let's see, May 12th, 2025, her upcoming birthday. April 22nd, the date of death this year. Oops. Or that's not what it was. If you measure to the anniversary of JFK's assassination, November 22nd, she died 214 days. Dallas is the 214 area code. Dallas, JFK died in Parkland Hospital. That's why they had the Parkland shooting on 214. And now David Hogg is taking over the Democratic Party, and he's coming for the Second Amendment, and he's so proud of it. Where'd he get all this money from? That kid got all this money. And his daddy was in the FBI. He's got that FBI money behind him. But anyway, this follows the week of the Pope dying on 21-4, and the man who became the head of the Vatican is the Dallas Cardinal from the 214 area code. Remember when JFK died, Walter Cronkite broke the news saying some 38 minutes ago, death, murder, killing, RIP, 38. The Pope just put out his written work on the 38th day of the year about how he was prepared for the afterlife, and the name of that work has a gematria value of 214. He ends up dying on 21/4 after being hospitalized on Valentine's Day, another 214 date. And don't forget how the whole gematria, the killing name thing fits in too. They said they'd only perform the song for the Pope. Gematria, the killing name, And then they performed it on the 59th day of the year for the first time ever, the band. Pope Francis 59, and the Pope died 52 days later, dying on the 111th day of the year, and matching his name. And on the 312th day of the Chump's age, and 201 days from St. Francis of Assisi's death anniversary, when he's named after St. Francis of Assisi. Plus everything else we covered. So, all right, True Seeker. Thanks again to everyone who hits the like and the share and who supports the work. And well, the news broke on a Friday, right? She didn't actually die on Friday. She died the day after the Pope, but they broke the news on Friday, and yeah, she isn't Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th connects with Jason. Jason connects with Freddy Krueger, who connects with Nightmare on Elm Street. JFK shot from 411 Elm Street. Yeah, exactly. Gematria 32, what he just wrote, the same thing I'm thinking. All right, guys. Thanks again. We'll leave it there, and we'll keep working at trying to get the views up on the channel, but I don't know. I don't know if it's possible, man. I feel like they're clamping down more than ever. Like I said, they destroyed my sports channel. I can't even post a link to my own stuff on the sports channel. I lost the privilege to live stream. Again, that channel almost was at 100K subs spring of 2023, and they've kept it at 80. They dropped it by 6,000 subs from 95.5 to 89 overnight, and they've kept it at 89 for all this time, and now they're doing all this crazy stuff. It's annoying. Almost every video I've uploaded to the sports channel in the last 3 months has instantly been blocked, including the one I did tonight on there. They really don't like me exposing their sports leaks. They really don't like it. And that's why way more people need to support the work and help make up for the amount of suppression I have to go up against. The terror attack in Kashmir. Here, I'll do it for you, friend, since you're online right now. I didn't. Here, let's look at it. It's not synced up with Led Zeppelin, is it? They better watch out. Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, your days might be numbered. Jammu and Kashmir terror attack. When did this happen? All right, so a statement was issued today on the 115th day of the year with 74 date numerology, the big killing numbers about this terrorist attack. Said the UN Security Council has strongly condemned the deadly terrorist attack in Jammu and Kashmir on Tuesday. Okay, so the day after the Pope died. April 22nd, the 112th day of the year. Again, the Jesuits operate in 112 countries. That killed at least 26 tourists and left many more injured. There's that 26 number in India again. Says in a press statement issued on Friday, council members expressed their deepest sympathy and condolences to the family of the victims, as well as the governments of India and Nepal. They also extended wishes for a speedy and full recovery to those injured in Tuesday's attack, in which a group of gunmen fired on tourists visiting the Himalayan region, which both India and Pakistan claim sovereignty over. Terrorism in all its forms and manifestations constitutes one of the most serious threats to international peace and security, the ambassadors reaffirmed. They underscored that such acts are criminal and unjustifiable, regardless of their motivation, wherever, whenever, and by whomsoever committed. They stressed that the perpetrators, organizers, financiers, and sponsors must be held accountable and brought to justice. They urged all states, in accordance with their obligation under international law and relevant Security Council resolutions, to cooperate actively with all relevant authorities. Okay, so it doesn't sound like they know really who did it. And I think we already know who did it. I'd say this is clearly the church and the Jesuits, because this is what they do. They work by the numbers, by the code. 112th day of the year, day after the Pope died, attacking mostly non-Catholic parts of the world, keeping the crusade tradition alive and well. Keep in mind that day did also have 71 date numerology, like Catholic is 71. Okay. Kashmir's got some fateful gematria, huh? 79 and 34 like murder. Jammu. Let's see how it lined up with the leader of India. Sri Narendra Modi was sworn in as India's prime minister for the third time on June 9th, 2024. Okay. He's 74 years old right now. He's got the same birthday as the U.S. Constitution, interestingly enough. His birthday is the day leaving 105 days left in the year. It happened on the 112th day of the year, so that means it happened 217 days after his birthday, or the 218th day of his age. 218 is a number connected to death. Again, when I didn't know this when I first started this work. Here, I think we got D26 calling in himself. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can change the audio here. Okay, go ahead. Are you there? Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear my voice?
I can hear you.
Okay, because I'm connecting from laptop, not from the phone.
Okay.
So yeah, I did comment on I made a comment, I think, on your third episode of Count on It, when you mentioned about the Pope, when you did an entire live stream on Pope. And I found this probably coincidence. I'm not able to find some connection, but there is some kind of coincidence that there is only one Pope in the entire history who died on 21st of April. Oh, sorry, who was born on 21st of April. And Pope Francis happens to die on that day, which is 21st of April. 21st of April, 1948 is also, like, that date is also the date for United Nations Security Council number 47, resolution number 47, which is about Kashmir. And the next day, this terror attack happens on 22nd of April. So I just wanted to see. This might be a coincidence that the resolution number 47 is on Kashmir, which is on 21st of April, 1948, and that day Pope dies, and the next day there's a terror attack, and most people do not know that is Kashmir is the most actively militarized zone in the world. In terms of ammunitions, I think it is the Korean border between South Korea and North Korea. But in terms of active military zone and active personnel and conflicts, I think that is Kashmir region, and it makes sure because of the resources and all that stuff. So this attack is, I think, happened for. It's probably first of. I think this attack has happened. Such an attack has happened after many years of its kind, like of this kind, like an attack. It is reported there are videos of circulating of a lady saying that her husband was killed based on religion, all that stuff. That they were asked what's their religion, they were just shot that. point blank. But it's first time that in 60 years that India has taken a major step, that they have suspended the Indus Water Treaty. Now, this will cause a lot of civil unrest in Pakistan because the Indus Water Treaty allowed Pakistan to have a lot of, like, 80% of the water from the Indus River. The Indian government suspending that treaty results in major water shortage in the country of Pakistan. And rightly so, from that side, they have suspended one of the major agreements, which is the Shimla Agreement, that is also signed in probably 50, 60, 70 years ago. I think it was signed in 70 or 71. And based on that agreement, which Pakistan has cancelled, based on that agreement, Bangladesh was created. So there's a lot of political, geopolitical, as well as social tensions. I think they're just going to rise because right after the attack, after like within 12 hours, the Indian government has also uh, sent a notice that within 48 hours, all the Pakistani nationals has to leave the country, and all the visas will be cancelled, and the diplomats are like asked to leave the country and all that stuff. And I think there are a lot of major meetings. Even Trump had, I think, mentioned about something like this. So it's just like, it's interesting. Also, in 1948, major United Nations Security Council resolutions were about two regions, the Palestine and the Kashmir. You should look it up. It's in line, like from January to December. I think out of 7, 6 of them were on Palestine and Kashmir. 3 on Palestine, 3 on Kashmir, something like that. And Jammu Kashmir also equals 47, just like Kashmir equals 47. And yeah, that terror equals the place where it happened, Pahalgam, is called as the Pahalgam attack. Pahalgam attack equals 263, like 56, which is the 56 prime. And they are saying 26 people died. 26 is a very important number for the country of India. I mentioned this several times that the Indian Republic Day is on the 26th day of the year, which is on 26th of January, which is 201 days before the Indian Independence Day, which is on the Jesuit birthday, 15th of August. And yeah, I don't. There's that coincidence about 21st of April being the resolution number 47, and also the day Pope dying.
We know it's not a coincidence. No, it's not a coincidence at all. And again, I know this has something to do with Led Zeppelin too, because 1948 is when Robert Plant was born, and Led Zeppelin, one of their most famous songs is Kashmir. And Led Zeppelin's on the record saying they wish that was the song that they were known for rather than Stairway to Heaven. So, yeah, this is a major ritual. And the other thing I'm reminded of is when the whole Diddy thing happened, when Diddy performed next to Jimmy Page on Saturday Night Live back in the 90s. I'm getting a lot of feedback through however your audio set up today, but
okay.
Diddy performed the song to the Kashmir music next to Jimmy Page, saying Jimmy Page was 54 years old at the time, and then Diddy falls at 54, and he said in that performance, "Watch me rise, watch me fall." I think all this stuff's related because his trial's about to begin in a matter of days too. Again, it's just how the cabal works. Their rituals are deep. I wonder if somebody's about to kick the bucket here for Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin equals 47 as well, like rock. So the Superior General was also born in 48. Go ahead.
You mentioned about Led Zeppelin. I haven't looked into that. I didn't even know that members of that band are still alive.
Yeah, Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, the two most famous members of the band, are still alive. From Robert Plant's birthday.
Because you mentioned about
from Robert Plant's birthday
you did talk about that.
From Robert Plant's birthday to the
35 weeks. I hope I'm not cutting you off. I think maybe there's a delay.
Yeah, there is.
Okay. It's 35 weeks. India is 35.
Right. And so was Catholic. The Pope died the
And
day before at 35 minutes after the hour. So,
it's funny that whenever 35 comes up, it just makes me smile because my name equals 35 and I'm born on the day leaving 35 days left in the year.
right.
Uh, regarding, since I was doing some research about the Catholic Church and Vatican, um, I found one other. This is pure coincidence. I didn't even thought about this, but accidentally I found another pope who has a number whose name equals 201. It's Pope Sixtus IV. Um, you know the Sistine Chapel, the history of Sistine Chapel, like which is most people know it because of the fresco paintings by Michelangelo and the ceilings.
Uh-huh.
So Sistine Chapel had its first mass on 15th of August 1483, and that was in the reign of Pope Sixtus IV. And guess what? That pope's birth name is 201. Now I'm just questioning myself and probably being a devil's advocate to you. How should we consider this as a coincidence? Because this looks like a ritual, smells like a ritual, but it happened before the creation of the Jesuits. It's on their birthday, 15th of August, 1483. So we can assume that it's about 51 years before their creation. But it matches everything from their pattern. Or maybe we could, from other side, I can also say that this is changed later about it, like some later part in the history, the dates were changed. But yeah, the Pope's name, his birth name is Francisco de la Rovere, and he was the 213th Pope who died in 1484. So I just wanted to brush off that. I don't know. I went through that rabbit hole of the Vatican Church and all that stuff.
Okay. That's also interesting. For one more piece about this, just United Nations and Kashmir and Jammu both equal 57 in the most pure cipher. And this attack did happen 57 days after the anniversary of Led Zeppelin's song Kashmir releasing, which released on February 24th, the anniversary of the Jesuits implementing the calendar. So I don't think that's an accident either. But yeah, that was a really good catch by you to find the UN Resolution 47 about these two locations and how this attack happens one day after that anniversary. And of course, just 47, just like Kashmir equals 47, just huge ritual number. We're in the time of number 47 over here in the US. France is 47, Vatican 47.
If you write spell the number 48 like it happened in the year 48, 48 equals 47, I guess.
Okay, that's interesting.
It also says 20th of June, like 286th meeting, the 286th meeting. So I'm assuming if something happens on 20th of June, because I think there is some history related to that. 25th of June is an interesting date in Indian history because that is considered as the darkest day in Indian history, because that's the day the state of emergency was declared in 1975. I remember there is a history regarding that. If you didn't know, like it's considered as darkest day because I think that it was something close to martial law, or probably you can say almost borderline martial law happened. My grandpa was jailed without any warrant for a few months. So there is some history like related to the 25th of June, and which also happens to be George Orwell's birthday. And most people don't know that George Orwell was born in British India before the independence.
Yeah.
And independence of India was in 47, 15th of August. So it's uh, yeah, I just wanted to share that because I don't see this being talked much, and this could something be like people are not looking into this right now. Maybe there's something big will happen, and then everyone will be talking about this.
Well, over in the United States, the average American doesn't care about any news outside of the country's borders. It's part of why everyone's so ignorant here. But
Um, you should, you should. I don't know. Is there any like a world like internationally famous Jewish media? But I did hear the Jewish diplomat to India, the Israeli diplomat to India. Sorry, he mentioned that this is something like October 7th of India. And I was like, I was just like smiling because of all the research that you have done, and it was just smiling about like, oh yeah, they might make this into something big if they go forward with what they are speaking. But yeah, I won't take much time. You mentioned about it. You're about to end the stream. I just wanted to share this major news that is coming out from this part of the world.
all right. Well, I appreciate D26 and great research like always. Yeah, that was a really good catch with the UN resolution. So
There are a lot of numbers. I will have to look into that. I think there are at least 11 to 13th or something like resolutions on Kashmir, but this was the one which stands out the most, I would say. The first one is on 17th of January, which is number 38. The second one is number 39 on 20th of January, 1948. And then this was after that, it's 47. But yeah, I will look into this Led Zeppelin. That was a good reminder because
So
you
I
mentioned about this
I
last
got a
year, I
question
think.
for you. Out of all the members of Led Zeppelin, only one has died. Do you want to guess what he played?
Piano.
Have you ever
Oh,
heard
sorry.
Led Zeppelin in your life? They don't have a piano player.
Sorry, my bad. My bad, my bad. They were the rock band.
What's the position that almost always dies first in the band?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe the drummer.
Yeah, of course, the drummer. Yeah, and it's been 44 years and change since the drummer died. So maybe another band member is due since it's been 44 years since he passed.
So just to clarify, the reason I said piano because I'm working on a 3D model right now on the other screen, which has a piano. That's why.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, D26.
Okay.
Well, appreciate
Yeah.
you, man.
Thank
Great
you.
research as always. You have a good night.
Thank you, and
right.
thank you for taking my call.
Of course. You take care, buddy.
You too. Have a good night.
Take care. All right. We know D26 doesn't listen to a whole lot of Led Zeppelin, and there's nothing wrong with that. But man, the piano player, that was mind blowing. Isn't it something though, for people who are new here, just to hit on a familiar point that we've been making a point about all night? Drummer's the position that equals 38 and 97 and 43. Again, killing is 38 and 43. Death is 97. Poor drummers. Always getting the worst of it. I don't know if I did work in the past on John Bonham's death anniversary, but September 25th is the day leaving 97 days left in the year. Poor guy. The drummer dies on the day leaving 97 days left in the year. Unbelievable. Or actually, just par for the course, right? It's like the same stuff that goes on every day. Got endless examples of this gematria thing. His full name equals 80. He died in 80. Full name equals 170 like sacrifice, 64 like kill. And again, it's been 44 years and change since his death. It's another one with the kill numbers. It'll be the 45th anniversary of his passing this September 25th. May 31st is his birthday anniversary. He was also born in 48, just like Robert Plant. Same year that resolution for Kashmir and Jammu. me see something real quick about Jimmy Page. He died 36 days after Robert Plant's birthday. All right. Yeah, I think we are going to leave it there, True Seeker. If you guys saw that I skipped any stories I should have covered, always leave a comment. Let me know. If I get a chance, I'll take a look and do a presentation when I can. So, all right, you guys, have a good rest of your night. If you're in D26 land, have a good rest of your day. And until next time.